Hey, what's up, guys? Shuckle King here, bringing you my Pokemon Premier League Season 7 draft analysis. Man, I did not think I'd be saying that at any point in just playing Pokemon, but that's a pretty cool phrase to say there. It's also cool because it is a Wi-Fi league, and I have never done a Wi-Fi league before. In fact, the last Wi-Fi battle I had was in Sun and Moon. I played one Wi-Fi battle for a YouTube creator when they didn't want to play, so I'm not going to reveal that. But before that battle even, oh gosh, probably, I know I definitely did Wi-Fi battles in 4th Gen. I'm pretty sure I did in 5th Gen as well. But yeah, I didn't play 6th Gen, so it's been a long time here. But so I was surprised when Kyle had approached me if I wanted to do the PPL, even if I didn't have Wi-Fi experience, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do. So I told him sure, and I just had to beat the game, which basically everybody. So Jolt told me it was a good game, but everybody else said it was pretty bad. Jolt, I don't know why you gotta lie to me, man. The game was not that great in my opinion. It was better than Sun and Moon, I would say, but because of how similar the two games were, it definitely was kind of a struggle to get through the game, and there wasn't really too much that was provided besides Mantine, which, yeah, I did it once. But anyway, in the PPL, so how it works, you have 120 points to spend between 8 to 11 Mons. So if you get 8 Pokemon, that's definitely over 12 points. It's about 13 points a Pokemon if you only get 8 Pokemon on your team, which is really strong Pokemon, like for that point value. Even if you get 11 Pokemon on your team with 120 points, it's still over 10 points a Pokemon. So it's a pretty good deal here, and there's only 10 teams, so there's going to be pretty good drafts, I would imagine. So hopefully I get one of the good ones, and hopefully I get a good draft spot. We got 25 point for Z users, which is about normal. And oh, by the way, I also need nicknames going forward for these mons. I played my week 1 battle, but other than that, if you guys could give input on what I should nickname some of these mons, it would be great. But anyway, so my drafting strategy for this was just to see stuff that I thought was underpriced. I felt in general most of the stuff was a little bit overpriced for something I would like to get. Maybe like LD, I think it's 115 points versus 120. So maybe the justification there is you have more points, but the Pokemon are more expensive, balances out. But I felt like a lot of stuff was still, for the most part, a little bit expensive. But that's okay. I just wanted to utilize or take advantage of all the underpriced Pokemon that I could. Speed Pass is allowed in this league, so that's a sub. But you cannot chain pass speed boost or chain pass any boost in general. So you can't have a Pokemon Sword Stance, Baton Pass, something going higher defense. Otherwise, it's a stupid strategy. I've had my experience with Smogon dealing with that. But it would be cool if I could try Speed Pass. And the premier Pokemon to do that with is with Scolipede. And Scolipede is 16 points, which is a little bit expensive, but for the versatility it gives, it can be pretty deadly with the right team that you have. But I had pick 7, which added 10, which is not bad. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get something left that's still pretty good, especially because there's only 10 teams, so I'm going to at the very least, probably get 2 Pokemon that are very good, but maybe not top tier stuff. But when it was my pick, Landorus T, Celesteela, and Kieran Black, I guess Zygarde they were also available. Zygarde, I don't know if in the same tier, but at least Landorus T, Celesteela, Kieran Black were all available. Cool stuff like Mega Latios and Coco were already taken, which they were like the top 2 that I wanted. But Landorus T, Celesteela, Kieran Black being there at pick 7, really cool. It would have been even cooler if one of those also was available at my second pick, but spoilers, that did not happen, but I'm not surprised at all. Between those 3, I wanted to go with something I've never tried before, but I probably would have gone with Celesteela in most circumstances because I think that and Coco and Mew are probably the best 3 Pokemon in normal format. Maybe Mega Latios is up there because it's not always seen, but Celesteal is at least top 5. But the Pokemon I decided to go with was Landorus T. This was a little bit more of a hesitation because it was 19 points, and it was the only 19-point mon available, and I don't think it's the best Pokemon available out of everything there. Tapu Koko was 17 points, which is just absurd, and that went number 1, no surprises there. But I really wanted to try Landorus T before, and I was a little bit scared. I probably have had opportunities to draft Landorus T, but I feel like it has so many movesets that are really good on it. Offensive, like with Sword Stance or Rock Polish, or both with Z move access, U-turn, Choice Scarf sets. Defensive, Rocky Helmet or leftover sets, Yachi Berry setup sets. Even special if you wanted to. It has a ton of options. And obviously it has Stealth Rocks and it has Defog now. So Landorus has a ton of great things going for it. It is 4 times weak for Ice with Ground plus Flying, which is pretty unfortunate, but I'm going to have to work around this when I draft the Landorus. It also doesn't really want to take on Bulky Waters or Bulky Psychics to an extent. It can somewhat handle Bulky Psychics, but it really doesn't want to if it doesn't have to. So I'm going to have to pick Pokemon that can handle those types, as well as it doesn't have the greatest speed. And while it's a pretty good U-turner, it has base 91 speed. So a lot of things will outspeed it. So I want to get Pokemon that are faster than Landorus that can fulfill that Choice Scarf, U-turn, Volt Switch type role, so it doesn't have to rely on that. And I also want to get defensive mons, so that way Landorus isn't relying on always being defensive. So I really wanted to be any role that I wanted to be. So my opponent really has had no idea what my Landorus set's going to be. But the downside to that is I won't know what the best set is. But we'll deal with that when the time comes. But next, I wanted to get something that handles at least some of Landorus's answers, and maybe also the best way to revenge kill Landorus T is Weavile, and I can just pick it. So that way nobody else has that answer to revenge kill Landorus so easily with a Choice Banner or Life Orb boosted Ice Shard from Weavile. But for 15 points, I felt like this was one of the better values of the draft. Ice Shard is great. It's a great priority move there. Knockoff is good because I can get rid of items on Pokemon. So say if some answer for Landorus T has a Shucka Berry, I can knock off the berry so that way they won't be able to take a hit from Landorus. Or if I want to get like a Charty Berry off of a flying type that is immune to Earthquake, stuff like that. Knockoff is great in that regard. I can also pursue trap Psychic types and Ghost types, which will be very handy for some Pokemon I have later on in the draft. It's not the most versatile mon, but Weavile has a little bit of coverage. It has Brick Break for fighting coverage. It has Poison Jab. It has Metal Claw, which should be farther down the list here. It does have Metal Claw. So there's enough options if I really need to. Like Metal Claw is great to kill Mega DNC in one hit. Poison Jab to hit like Tapu Fini, say, that my moves wouldn't be able to hit it hard normally otherwise. So I have options there. And if I really wanted to, I could go Sword Stance Weavile, though I don't like this set as much just because of how frail it is. I'd rather just be attacking every time Weavile gets in. But it has enough options and like 5 or 6 or 7 moves, so there's a little bit of variability there. But not the most versatile mon, but it's still great for what I want it to be. Next Pokemon I wanted was, I wanted a Steel type, preferably Jirachi, Skarmory, or Ferrothorn, which are 3 of the among best Steel types that aren't Celesteela. Skarmory was taken to pick before me, but this wasn't my top preference, probably my least preference between the 3. I actually decided to go with Ferrothorn, even though Jirachi was available for 17 points. That would have been a crazy core of Landorus, Weavile, and Jirachi. Jirachi was 4 points more expensive than Ferrothorn, and I feel like for 13 points, Ferrothorn is a great option because it provides me spikes, provides me a great Stealth Rock user that Jirachi is as well, but it can take on Bulky Waters a lot better than Jirachi, and it also provides the debate about whether on Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Fire. Hidden Power Ice will hit Ferrothorn neutral, but with this base 116 special defense, especially if I invest in it, it's not going to be doing a whole lot. And if you're on Hidden Power Fire, then Landorus can take those hits pretty well, as a special defense is not the greatest, but definitely well enough, especially if I invest in bulk and landers. But Ferrothorn is great because it can go physically defensive or especially defensive. Great rocker, so Landers doesn't have to always provide that role. And just the general defensive capability of Landorus plus Ferrothorn is great. Ferrothorn doesn't like fighting types either, as well as Weavile, so Landers takes those hits really well. Though I would like to pair it up with another fighting resist later on in the draft. But the ability to have spikes will really pressure teams, and Weavile can chip stuff down with Ice Shard, and Landorus can also maybe rack up kills if they have resist berries that wouldn't normally kill without spikes, but with spikes would kill even through the resist berry. So at this point in the draft, I do need a defogger. Landers can do that role, but it doesn't want to do it if it doesn't have to. I would like a T-spike user or at least an absorber, so a grounded poison type would be great. Though I'm not too terribly weakened by poison types or toxic spikes right now. I'd also like a U-turn or momentum as a pretty big priority for this team, as Landers can do it, but again, if it's great if it doesn't have to do it. So I feel like this next Pokemon is just maybe a little bit expensive for what it does, but I feel like it's about good value for this mod, so I picked up Infernape. Infernape has a really nice speed tier between the 91 speed tier of Landorus and 125 speed tier of Weavile, so 108 sits right in between those. So Pokemon like 115 speed can't run Modest and still outspeed Landorus while having like an additional boosting in attack. So that's great for Infernape in that role. It also is a great Choice Scarf user. Choice Scarf Infernape is probably my favorite set on it, though it's a little bit predictable in that regard. But again, I don't have to use Choice Scarf Infernape if I don't want to, just because of this great mixed ability here with 104, 104 attack and special attack. It can easily go special as well as physical. Physical is a little bit better because your stabs are going to be close combat and Flare Blitz versus stuff like Focus Blast and Fire Blast. And they have inaccuracies there, so I want to be as accurate as possible. But otherwise, both sets can work really, really well. I've also run a physically defensive Infernape, which usually doesn't look the greatest with 76 HP, 71 defenses, but it does have Slack Off, so it can at least recover HP in that regard. It is another Stealth Rock option. It's a pretty good lead with Taunt, Stealth Rocks, Endeavor, and whatever last move I want to run on it. Or you can even run Priority, which is great because it has Vacuum Wave to hit on the special side and Mach Punch to hit on the physical side. It also has some pretty nice coverage moves as well, but it stabs really hit hard. So I do like the options that Infernape provides. The next Pokemon I picked, I want a Fire and Fighting Resist. I mean, you could say something to handle Infernape, but I have Infernape, so that's not that big of a deal. But my fire resist right now is Infernape, and my Landorus is my fighting resist. So Landorus as a fighting resist is okay, but if it's an offensive Landorus that it really doesn't want to take like close combats from Tracheon, for example. So the next Pokemon I picked, as well as generally you want a bulky water on your teams, you don't have to, but generally they're pretty nice. Next Pokemon I got was Toxapex. The Toxapex, it's really nice in a team. 15 points is probably a little expensive for how passive it is, but Landorus plus Ferrothorn plus Toxapex, that's a great defensive core there. Toxapex takes like the ice moves that Landorus doesn't really want to take. Ferrothorn can take them okay, but Toxapex will handle them no issues. Landorus and Ferrothorn take on the ground types that Toxapex are a little bit worried about, and psychic types Toxapex handles, as well as Weavile. So I do like all the defensive synergies I have with this team. Toxapex is also a great, probably the best Toxic Spike user in the format. So if I can get spikes with Ferrothorn, Stealth Rocks from Landorus, Toxic Spikes from Toxapex, I'm going to be wearing my opponent's team down a lot. So it also has a great ability in Merciless, but an even better ability with a Regenerator, recovering a third of your HP so I don't have to spend a turn recovering, whereas I could get a switch or get off a Scald and hopefully get a burn is a great ability to have. And my Landorus doesn't have reliable recovery, and Ferrothorn has to rely on Leech Seed. So getting something with more reliable recovery than Leech Seed Ferrothorn would be great to have on my team. Next, I wanted to get my Mega, and I wanted to get one that I thought was a little bit underpriced. A couple options were pretty cool. Mega Sharpedo for 10 points is cool, especially if it doesn't have to Mega first turn. But I do have Weavile as that fast Dark type roll, so I feel like I really didn't need it. Mega Medicham was also really cool, and like it even does have Baton Pass. I want to use it as a momentum Pokemon, but I wanted something even faster, and Infernape pretty much does a lot of things that Mega Medicham wanted, though of course I did mention to Leo for his GBI run of Infernape plus Mega Medicham being a pretty cool combination there, and I felt like it kind of worked out for him. But the Mega I decided to pick, because I also wanted something a little bit faster than Medicham, was Mega Manectric. And Mega Manectric is pretty fast at base 135 speed, and also it's definitely not passive with base 135 special attack. Now I can't be obviously Choice Scarfed with this set, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So if I want something with even more speed than Mega Manectric, I guess I would have to go with Choice Scarf Infernape or Choice Scarf Weavile, or I could get a Choice Scarf user later on in the draft. But otherwise, it has a ton of speed, and it'll outspeed just about everything that isn't Scarfed. So it's nice to have that raw high speed on the team. It also has a great ability to being immune to electric attacks with Lightning Rod before it Megas. And then once it Megas, it has a great ability in Intimidate, which will cut the attack down by 1. And I compare that with Landorus to really lower and hinder physical attackers that want to go against my team. It's a pretty straightforward mon, similar to Weavile. You're not going to have too many coverage moves. It has fire coverage, which is great for like grass types that want to handle electric types. It has Volt Switch. Unfortunately, it does not have U-turn like Thundurus or Healisk or Zapdos. So that way you are blocked by ground types. And I really don't have the hardest hitting move to hit ground types with Manectric besides Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Grass or Overheat. But otherwise, not too much coverage, but I'll probably find creative sets to use Mega Manectric with. And for 12 points, I thought it was pretty decent value. It's just a fast electric type. But I felt like I would want that on the team with a Landorus to kind of prevent Landorus again from being forced to use U-turn. Now the next Pokemon I wanted was a Cleric, and at this point in the draft, I was pretty confident in the rest of the Pokemon that I wanted. At least for the next 2 picks, I was pretty confident in. Like the 3rd pick after that, I felt like could have been sniped, but I had a couple options in case they were picked. Like in case that 3rd one was picked. But I was pretty sure these next 2 Pokemon were not going to get sniped. But for the second one, which is, spoilers, a lot of points, I wanted to make sure I get it before somebody else had the opportunity to maybe get it. So I wanted to pick it. But anyway, I also wanted a 6-point mod to deal with, or to be a good Z move user with Landorus. But I'll get there later. So my Heal Bell user is Aldino with this team. Aldino, I feel like, has more versatility than Licky, which is 7 points. So Aldino is 2 points less expensive. It has Regenerator, so I'm not forced in to stay and Wish, Protect, and then heal myself up like Licky is in order to take more hits. I also don't want to lose momentum if I don't have to. Like Licky is a pretty big momentum sink, even if it takes hits pretty well. Miltank was also there for 9 points. It was a little bit expensive, but I also wanted a nice Wish option. And with base 103 HP, Aldino provides that Wish opportunity really nicely. And Miltank is just a little bit more expensive than I want it to be, though it does have rocks, which would have been great versatility to have. So, but I will get another rocker later on. I figure I won't use Aldino a lot, but if you're not ready to handle an Aldino, especially with like Heal Bell, I had the option to Calm Mind. You're going to be in trouble if you don't have answers for Aldino. And especially with this option here of Healing Wish, I have the option of completely healing up like a Landorus that's already been severely weakened, or a Weavile, Infernape. So I do like what utility options Aldino brings to my team. So the next Pokemon I wanted is going to be a pretty expensive mon, and I only have Landorus Defog as my hazard removal, and that's not great. And now with this Team Rapid Spin would be really nice because I do have Weavile to help with Ghost Rapid Spin blocking. Like I can pursue trap ghosts that want to come in, but that's still not the most reliable way to remove hazards. Defog's usually a more reliable way. And I also wanted a secondary ground resist, so that's not that hard of a combination to get. So if by chance this Pokemon was sniped, I did have other options, I suppose. But like a levitating or a flying type with Defog, there's a ton of them. But also want at least a top 20 Pokemon to form it, maybe even higher, but still available. So I figured I might as well pick it. And I even contacted the commissioner to be like, we are allowed to draft the base form, even the Mega was picked, right? And Kyle's like, yeah. So I picked Latios here. What round is this? 5, 6, 7. The 8th round, I picked Latios. Kind of crazy. And yes, it is overpriced at 18 points when like Tapu Koko was 17 points. Latios is definitely not better than Koko. And stuff like Celesteela, Kieran Black, Mew, they were all 18 points. And Latios is definitely not as good as any of those three. But I felt like in general I got pretty decent value throughout the draft, so I was okay with overspending a little bit to get Latios. And it's a very super strong special attacker with base 130 special attack. You compare that with Life Orb, our Soul Duo to boost the Dragon and Psychic attacks without taking Life Orb recovery, and works kind of like as an expert build type of way without being actually have to be super effective. But another option it can go is Dragon Dance if I really want to, but I feel like I have better physical hitting options on the team, mainly Infernape and Weavile and Landorus than Latios, but it could be a surprise I really want to. It is a ground resist. I have reliable recovery and roost. I have great speed in base 110 for a defogger, so I have a lot of speed. 110 for Latios, 135 for Mega Man Electric, 108 speed with Infernape, and base 125 speed with Weavile. I have 4 things at over base 100 speed, so I'm really happy with that. I usually try to get 2 or 3. 4 is going to be a lot, but more speed is really good. That's not a bad thing unless it's like a Trick Room team. But I do also have a lot of slow things like Toxapex and Ferrothorn. But it's another Choice Scarf option if I really want it to be. In base 110 special attack, it's a great Choice Scarf user. Lando plus Latios should be a pretty cool combo. For my next pick, I did not get sniped. And if I did, I probably would have picked Piloswine, which is a pretty good option for 7 points, and that would have been my 9th Pokemon at the end of my draft. But I did pick up a 6-point mon because I wanted another abuser of Z moves to go with Landorus, and I also wanted a Stealth Rock user. Now, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but Kabutops is pretty cool for 6 points, and it's something I could maybe pick up later in the year, especially because having the ability to rapid spin when I have such a hazard stacking team is a pretty good niche to have, but I did decide to go with Rhyperior instead. Rhyperior, super bulky, base 115 to 130 defenses. It can take a ton of moves on the physical side, even if it's quad super effective. Though there's not a whole lot of physical water, physical grass moves. They're usually more special, and I probably won't take those hits that well unless if I'm the Resist Berry, because even Assault Vest probably wouldn't take many water or grass type hits. But it does have the ability of Solid Rock to at least kind of negate some of that damage done from super effective hits, like from water and grass type moves. But again, most teams like Electric types probably won't run Hidden Power Grass or Hidden Power Water, just because I do have Landorus plus Ferrothorn on my team, so they'll probably want Hidden Power Fire or Hidden Power Ice. So especially if they run Hidden Power Ice and I run a Rock Polish set, and either a Weakness Policy or whatever type of Z move that I want to run, I feel like it's going to be a great, underrated sweeping option that I have with Rhyperior. Choice Band is also a set I really like with Rhyperior just because it has base 140 attack. And Rhyperior does weaken like the Pokemon that will take on Landorus. It can weaken them so that way Landorus can come revenge kill those Pokemon that were meant to take on Landorus. It can be hard to have an answer that could, like a ground resist that could take Rhyperior plus Landorus. So I have 1 point left over. I could have decided to just save it, and if I wanted a free agent moves, I could use it for there. But I wanted to pick out something cool that I feel like I might bring. Based on a few of the matches, I feel like it has potential for me to consider bringing. So I decided to get Bronzor, which is the EVL8 bulkier version of Bronzong. It has rocks, which is a cool niche on it. It's not terribly passive, thanks to a side wave, which does damage to equal to 0.5 to 1.5 to user's level. So it'll do between, we're doing base or level 50, so it'll do between 25 and 75 damage, which it's not the most, but it's not terrible either. I should be, at least for the most part, breaking substitutes. And I don't think I'll be running Bronzor a whole lot unless I had Toxic Spikes on the team. So it can sit in front of it's similar to Bronzong, can sit in front of a lot of different Pokemon just because of its really nice typing, Steel and Psychic, plus has really nice abilities and Levitate. Heat-Proof probably won't run a whole lot, but I could if I want a surprise there. It also is a Calm Mind user, so I could run a set of like Calm Mind, Rest, Flash Cannon, and then whatever fourth move I want to run on it. That was a set I've used before in NU in the past, and it's pretty cool. But overall, really excited to use this team. It'll probably, the worst thing about this is I guess the biggest downfall potentially to this team is just me getting used to playing on Wi-Fi. So again, I've only played one Wi-Fi battle in the past year, and it's been a few years even before that. So it's going to be weird trying to figure out calculations on the fly. It might not be. We'll see. Maybe I'll catch on to it pretty quickly, but I really do like the look of this team, and I hope it does pretty well this year. But even if it doesn't do well, it'll be a fun time playing in this league and playing against a lot of really good opponents. So until next time, later, guys.